शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं पार्वतीतनयमूर्ति शरणं पार्वतीतनयमूर्ति शरणं मूषिकवाहना शरणं मूषिकवाहना शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका निखिलनेत्रनदेवि सुतने नागभूषणप्रियने निखिलनेत्रनदेवि सुतने नागभूषणप्रियने तकिटताङ्किटकोमलाङ्गन तकिटताङ्किटकोमलाङ्गन कर्णकुण्डलधारणे कर्णकुण्डलधारणे शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं विघ्नविनाशका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं सिद्धिविनायका शरणं शरणं शरणं
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति We were on the eighth chapter of Vedanta Treatise, the culmination of human life. We were studying the topic, the role of religion. So, what is the role of religion? It is to make us comfortable, of course. What else could it be? How will we become comfortable? Very simple. Be yourself. You will be comfortable. Where is the difficulty? So that's what he's saying, that if you're not comfortable, it's because you're not just being your original nature. If you get constricted, if you get restricted, obviously you'll feel uncomfortable, right? So the point of religion, the point of education in religious matters is always to make us feel comfortable. The question always is, therefore, what's going wrong? Why are we just not simply being ourselves? Being ourselves is natural, right? You don't have to learn to be yourself. The monkey doesn't learn to be a monkey, and the bird doesn't learn to be a bird, and I don't know, a tiger doesn't learn to be a tiger. It's just natural stuff. So, what's so difficult for us? What's happening over here? That's what we have to understand. What's the mechanism? What's going on? What's going on is that we all have brains, and our brains stay uneducated. So we start associating wrong cause and effect relationships. Instead of understanding that comfort, happiness, security, everything lies in just living your natural life. We put into our head somehow that if I get that, I will be happy. If I get that, I will be happy. If I get that, I will be happy. All this stuff we have brewing in our little brains, in our minds. It's going on and on. This is a false notion. It is not possible to be happy like that. All those who tried it haven't succeeded, right? We all tried it. Did we succeed? Oh, yes, yes, I got it and I'm very happy. Really? And how long did that happiness last? What is the use of these little spurts of happiness? Can't we just be normal and comfortable and happy at all times? We're so used to these spurts of happiness that we even use religion like that. We use religion itself for a spurt in happiness. We want to do bhajans or we want to do any religious ritual, go to any pilgrimage, even maybe attend classes just to feel nice for that much time. Because we've gone so wrong in our comprehension of these things. We're no longer looking for any long term solution. They just feel nice. Why are you here? I feel so nice coming to class. You feel very nice if you go to the pub too. So what? What's your point? This is not about getting these spurts of happiness. It is living our life in such a way that we are always comfortable. This is education. You don't take education. Did you go to college because you thought you'll be very happy with your classes? That's what you go to college for. You go so that you educate yourself and hopefully you will have a good life later on if you do gain that education. So religious education is just like that. It's an education. You don't expect it to feel very nice because you came to class. That doesn't mean you should feel horrible because you came to class. That's not what it means. But the point of going to class is not to feel nice. The point of class is to make our whole life nice. How consistently are we happy is the point of it all. If we're happy, some people say, oh, I do religious things all day and I feel so nice. That's not the happiness we're talking about. The happiness we're talking about is that independent happiness that whether you do or you don't do, you're okay. I don't know if I've stressed the point enough or not. The point is we have to educate ourselves. And the great men of the past, men and women of the past, have very wisely written many things for us. This poem by William Cooper that we have been studying is saying exactly the same thing in, in another way. In a way that if you are artistically inclined, will seem very beautiful to you. What a lovely way to say. Philosophy will tell you should I say, philosophy will tell you 2 plus 2 is 4 in mathematical. But the artists tell you in a very beautiful way. So the pineapple and the bee. We'll start it again. The pineapples in triple row were basking hot and all in glow. It was, there was a pineapple pudding over there. And it was a triple row pudding. Triple row means in 3 years, in 3 layers, like a, I don't know, like a wedding cake sometimes. It's in layers, right? Or jelly is in layers. So this pudding was in layers, 3 layers, that big and then small and then small. It was basking hot and all in blow. It was freshly made and looking absolutely delightful. So what is he trying to say? In triple row. See, we don't know what the poet meant. But when you start seeing how they have put it, you can't help thinking, did they actually read Vedanta or not? In triple row. Why triple row? These are the attractions of the body, mind, and intellect. In triple row. So basking hot and all in blow, and how attractive and tempting it all appears. Those objects of our desire always appear so good. A bee of most discerning taste. A bee came along. Now, what kind of bee was he? Most discerning taste. Good taste. He had very good taste in life. Perceived the fragrance as he passed. Nice pudding. Now, please notice what is going on. Perceived the fragrance as he passed. What does that tell you? That's not where he was going. He was going somewhere else. That's what's important for us. Huh?
It was a distraction.
It was a distraction. So, in our path in life, we can choose for ourselves a noble path in life, whatever path we choose for ourselves. And then something else will look very attractive. When the student is studying, the movies look very attractive. When he's going to work, going to a party seems very attractive. When you have to go and do your exercises, sleeping seems very attractive. Anything that we don't have to do seems very attractive to us. And we are convinced somehow that if we get this very attractive thing, we are going to be so happy in life. And no matter how many times we get that attractive thing, and how many times we suffer with that attractive thing, we do not seem to get that why don't we just stick to the royal path. There's a song, Tyagaraja song, Chakkani Raja. There is a royal path. Why don't you stick to the royal path? Why are you going here and there? So we don't know. Did the poet mean this? But he's saying it. So he probably meant it, isn't it? A bee of most discerning taste perceived the fragrance as he passed. On eager wing, the spoiler came and searched for crannies in the frame. Very eagerly. Oh, wow, this is good. Right now, what is a distraction for us? Tell me. Right now, in our life, in our current life, can you think of any distraction?
Mobile phones.
Okay.
So many, Janki ji. What any?
What?
So many distractions.
Oh,
What?
okay. Give me one. Give me one. In our current life.
COVID.
Corona.
I
Has the
wouldn't
maid
call
come
that
in?
the distraction. Huh?
Has the maid come in?
It's the maid come in. Okay. Very simple distraction. We have a certain situation going on in the
WhatsApp
world, right?
messages.
Sorry?
WhatsApp messages.
WhatsApp messages. Yes, of course. None of you are
WhatsApp.
wrong. None of you are wrong. But think about this. What is our current life? Our current life is that there is a pandemic here. The whole world is subject to this pandemic, and India more so. We have like 4 lakh cases a day. You have been told a very simple thing. We all have been told a very simple thing. What are we supposed to do during this pandemic?
Wear a mask.
Sit
Stay
at home.
Stay at
Social
home.
social
Stay home.
distancing.
Stay home. Okay, that's all we've been told. Nothing terrible. Have you been told to give 10 lakhs because our country is in danger? Go out there, go to the hospital and serve the people who are dying. Have you been told any difficult thing like that? All you have been told is stay at home. Right? So what is our current path? Our current path is stay at home. Distraction is our belief.
Want to go out.
Yes, our belief that if I could go out, I would be a very happy person. We are so stupid. Forgive the unparliamentary language, but we are so stupid that we were going out, right, in the past. Were we very happy? Then now why do we think that if I go out, I will be happy? If you cannot be happy where you are and how you are, the probability is you will never be happy under any condition. Our condition is really not bad. Since you're attending class, I can make a broad statement like this because if your condition was really bad, you wouldn't be attending class. Isn't it? If somebody close to you was hunting for a hospital bed, you wouldn't be here. If you had to go to the cremation ground, you wouldn't be here. That means, since you are here, assumably things are going well for you. Right? People have gone through very, very bad times. Extremely heartrending. The stories I hear sometimes are like, oh my God. It's very sad. But we are safe. Our families are safe. Our finances are more or less safe. We have a roof over our head. We have food on our tables. And we only find this a reason to complain. Don't you find that amazing about us? I can't go out. I can't have a party. I can't meet my friends. I can't go out for a jog. Oh, why don't you jog at home? What's to stop you? Put on your shoes and jog. Open your windows, put on your shoes and jog. Wash your shoes first, of course. But what is the difficulty? What is it you can't do? And why is it that you believe you have to do that particular thing? In the house, there are millions of things for us to do, isn't it? Clean your cupboards. You haven't cleaned them for a very long time. Clean them now. So, please understand the concept. This concept is important to us because we live with this belief that, now I'll see who is following. We live with the belief that
this will give me happiness.
Happiness
Something
is
else
there,
will give
there.
you happiness.
Happiness is
good.
there. Not
somewhere else. Happiness is somewhere else. It's always somewhere else. It is in my husband talking sweetly to me. Really? If he talks sweetly, you will be happy? There are many husbands who talk sweetly. Their wives are not happy. It's not somewhere else. It's here and now. So that's what he's saying. On he perceived the fragrance as he passed. He was passing. He was passing means he was doing something else with his life. Now he saw something. Now he wants that thing. And then what does he do? On eager wing, the spoiler came. The spoiler came. The thief came. If you want something that you do not have, is that not thievery? Why do you want something you don't have? Now, please understand this properly. That doesn't mean we should not aspire to things. Of course, you aspire to whatever in the world you want. But whatever you aspire for will then, come on, tell me, will then be your path. Don't go anywhere else then. You say, okay, I want to aspire for X. Then okay, that's it then. You're aspiring for X. Now you don't look here and there anywhere. Blinkers on. Do you aspire for being disease-free right now? in which case, stay at home, blinkers on, don't fuss about it. When you fuss about it, say to yourself, I have to grow. Don't say to yourself that I will be happy when I go out. This is the only difference that Vedanta has to bring into our life. Only a perception difference. Yes, we will fuss about it. Yes, it is frustrating to me to stay at home. Yes, it's horrible. I don't like to do it. But I must then see this as my lacuna, right? That's what I must see it as my lacuna. I must not believe it to be that if I go out, I will be okay. Is that clear? Because that's really the only point. We will feel frustrated, we will feel unhappy, we'll feel horrible, we'll feel really hurt because our spouses are not behaving well with us. Yes, we will go through all this. But don't see it as when I fix that, I will be happy. See it as when I fix myself, I will be happy. Because that's the truth. On eager wing, the spoiler came and searched for crannies in the frame. Urged his attempt on every side. He tried everything to get whatever that distraction was. Just as we try everything to get whatever our distraction is. We'll actually do all the things that need to be done for the distraction instead of doing whatever we need to do towards our goal. To every pain his trunk complied, but still in vain the frame was tight. Still in vain the frame was tight. This is what happens. We try our best. Can't get through sometimes. Like sour grapes, right? But still in vain the frame was tight and only pervious to the light. Thus, having wasted half the day, he trimmed his flight another way. It was only pervious to the light. Pervious means it can go through. So it was pervious only to the light means only light could go through, only light could go through means you can see it. When light cannot go through, you cannot see it. That's why you cannot see a black hole because light can go but can't come out. So this was pervious to the light means the light could go and there go and come and so you could see it. Thus having wasted half the day in our distractions, we waste half the day. Half the day most likely means in our distractions, in our attractions, we waste
a life.
Half a lifetime.
half our lifetime. Waste of time. Think about it. In the last 1 week, how much time did we spend productively and how much time did we waste? If you wasted half of it, then like the bee, having wasted half the day, he trimmed his flight another way. At least he is sensible enough that having wasted half the day, he then could go away. Human beings sometimes don't even get that much. So there are different types of intellect. The best kind of intellect can predict before an action. Knows before the action, right? Like for instance, when you get your first salary, you should have known that the first thing you do with your first salary, of course, you give a present to your parents and things like that. You offer it to God and things like that. But critical thing that you do with your first salary is
Investment plan.
you start saving. You should know that if I am earning and I have started earning and I'm staying in my parents' house, then at least 50-60% of what I earn should be saved. Because this is the time to save. Later on, there'll be a lot of expenses. Like, how can you not know that? So, if you're a sattvic person, you know that straight away. It's not like rocket science for you. You do it. If you're not so sattvic, if the intellect is not so developed, when you find that you are your balance of payments isn't quite working, you say, oh, I think I need to save a little more. I need to be more discriminate in my expenses. And then you are discriminate. Some people will not even learn that. They will have to go into debts. They will have to go into financial crashes. They will have to go into all of that. And then they will learn. This is the third type of intellect. And the fourth type of intellect is even after the financial crash, they will still not recognize what are the cause and effect relationships. Why is this happening to me? Right? So 4 types of intellect. The best intellect predicts before the action. Second quality of intellect, at the time of action, is able to decide that, oh, I think I'm on the wrong track. Third type, after the action and consequences, he realizes. Fourth type, even after, does not understand. Typical example of the fourth type is every spouse. Typical. You fought the same for 25 times, you still haven't figured out why this is happening? Like, isn't that pretty dumb of us? 25 times, same fight, not different fight, same fight. When is it going to get through? What's going on over here? Fourth type. Is us only. These all 4 types are us. There will be some areas in which we know before action. There is some, if you buy clothes at Fashion Street, you all know Fashion Street? Usha, you know Fashion Street? Anita, you know? No? It's a street in Mumbai where you go to buy, I don't know, what do I call it? All the fancy, not fancy, what do you call this? Street clothes, but
Fashionable.
yeah, very
Casual clothes.
Affordable.
clothes. And yeah, I mean, you can buy party wear also over there.
Yeah.
Very,
I bought times.
Casual and
Even I've been there.
okay.
Trendy ones. Yeah.
Yes, trendy clothes. Very. All the kids go there to shop. Most of the colleges are that side of town too, so it's all most convenient. You got nothing to do. You go walk down Fashion Street.
You can bargain there also.
Yes, you not can. You absolutely have to. So you'll get it at half price. He tell you like 1,000. You tell him 100 rupees, and you start like this. So okay, so in that street, you buy something. Whatever you bought yourself a shirt there. If you are a sensible person, when you come home, you will check the buttons and all, right? And if anything is loose, you will straighten it out. Because you bought something that looks 5,000, but you bought it for 50 rupees. So at least that much we must know that this is not likely to be a long-lasting thing. So you'll tighten the buttons, you'll fix whatever it is, if anything, you'll wash it nicely, right? You can look forward. A person who doesn't look forward, the day they're wearing that dress or wearing, they'll say, oh my God, this thing is loose. This button is loose. Oh my God, I'm getting late. This button is loose. And then they'll do it. After all the stress and tension, they'll fix it and they'll run to wherever they were running. A third person, after the button falls at the party, somebody will say, please, you don't have a button on your shirt. Then they will, oh my God, they'll hunt for it and they'll fix it. And the fourth type of person, even when it's not there, no idea. Absolutely no idea it's not there and there's any problem. So 4 types of intellect. So in some cases, we must be in the first, some second, some third, some fourth. Our job in life is to make us most things come into the first category. That's our job. So having wasted his flight another way, having wasted half his day, he trimmed his flight another way. So whenever anything goes wrong in our life, okay, something or the other will go wrong. Obviously it will. That's our life, right? Wouldn't it be nice to always stop after that whole situation, whatever went wrong? And ask ourselves this question. What did I learn from this? What have I learned? It's a good question to ask yourself. What have I learned in the sense, next time, what will I do differently? I was fortunate to be a very young child in a grown-up family, in the sense that my brother was 12 years older than me. And, so he was doing his MBA when I was 8 years old, 10 years old. So he being a very diligent student, would study hard, and whatever he learned in his MBA at that time, he used to try all that on me. But it was amazing, just a few things that he said at that time. I don't remember how much. I don't know, must have been 8 years old. And they stick, right? So what will you do differently? Is a question I was often asked. Every time something went wrong, such as I didn't do my homework, I got fired, mummy fired me, teacher fired me, and all these things went on in life. Whatever the normal life of an 8-year-old, what will you do differently next time? Isn't that a good question to ask ourselves? What have you learned? What will you do differently? So if we keep asking ourselves that question, at least we can save ourselves the trouble of repeating the same thing again and again and again. And hopefully we'll do better next time. So having wasted half the day, right? The reason I'm saying this now is that many of us will look at this and look at our lives with a certain amount of regret. We heard Vedanta and a sudden regret. Why didn't I know this earlier? Why didn't I do it this way earlier? Don't we feel that regret? That regret is not necessary. What is necessary is,
What will I do going forward?
Now.
What can I
No.
do now?
No.
Correction.
what am I going to do differently now? What am I going to do differently? Because always remember, actions give results. So if I do the same action, I'm going to get the same result. A good question to ask myself, what am I going to do differently now? What's the use of saying, oh God, that was so horrible, that was so bad, I spent all my time, I wasted all my time. Don't start berating yourself, please. It's pointless. There's enough trouble in us without us saying bad things to ourselves. Okay, there's enough trouble going on. We don't need to all the time, I'm so bad, I'm so horrible, oh my God, look at what I did. Don't waste time. The only important question is, what will I do differently now? So he trimmed his flight another way. I hope he has learned from that next time, don't get distracted with other people's pineapple puddings. Oh dear, now what happened here? So, having seen this sight, okay, so what did this poet see? He saw there was a pineapple pudding, a bee tried to get inside that pineapple pudding. He was not able to get inside and he went away. This was what the poet saw. And because he's a poet, he philosophized on it. And he said, methinks I said in thee I find the sins and madness of mankind. What a line. Methinks I said in thee I find the sins and madness of mankind. So he looked at that bee with so much charity, so much love, so much sympathy, and said, in this behavior, I find the sins and madness of mankind. This is how humanity behaves. This is their sin and this is their madness. Sin means that which gives us mental agitation. Madness means our own foolishness, our own lack of understanding of things. So because of our ignorance, we'll end up into agitation. In Vedanta, in technical terms, avarna leads to vikshepa. This is what the Upanishad says. Ignorance leads to agitation. It's the most amazing thing, we worship the Upanishad, but we don't understand what it means. Whenever there is ignorance, it is followed by agitation. So it's amazing, right? How similar it is. Methinks I said, in thee I find. He said, I think I find in you, my friend Mr. B, the sin and madness of mankind, the agitations and the ignorance of mankind. To joys forbidden man aspires, consumes his soul with vain desires. Folly the spring of his pursuit, and disappointment all the fruit. To joys forbidden man aspires. We aspire towards things that we ought not to aspire for. Consumes his soul with vain desires. Consumes, vain means what? What does it mean, vain? That means you'll be doing this in vain. It's not going to get you what you want. If you want what you claim you want, then this behavior is not going to get it for you. It's like, I claim I wish to lose weight, but all I'm doing is eating burgers all day. So anybody watching me will say that if you wish to lose weight, then this behavior is not going to get you there. Vedanta is not saying don't eat burgers. This must be very clear to us. There's no moralistic, judgmental thing over here. Nobody is telling you what you should or should not aspire for. However, if you do want a particular thing, then you must know what will bring you that thing and what will not bring you that. And that is something each one must know. So Vedantan watching you may say, if you want to go to Kashmir, you're currently headed south. So you don't know, say, it's none of your business to tell me where to drive. It's my car. Yes, it is your car. But if you claim to want Kashmir, you're currently headed south. Okay, so please differentiate between some moralistic, judgmental things and what Vedanta talks about. Vedanta is not sitting in judgment on anybody. What anybody wants, they want. That's it. They are the final word on what their life should be. Nobody else has to interfere. Hands off. If you can't digest the choices of others, tough luck for you. But you can't go and interfere in their life. That's their choice, and they have every right to make that choice. Just as you have every right to make a choice about your life. So Vedanta or any wise person does not interfere in other people's life. Then what is it that they're educating us on? They're just telling us that if you want this, it's not going to get it for you. That's all it's saying. Consumes his soul with vain desires, eats up his heart for something that is not even going to give him what he wants. There's a beautiful story. You must have read it as a child. Often we were told that story. I mean, somewhere or the other it would pop up in these moral books about how there was a swampy land, and on that swamp are the fireflies, and how weary travelers, seeing the light in the distance, mistake it for city lights and run towards it only to die in the swamp. This is really the story of our lives. Out of a madness, out of an ignorance, out of, I don't know what, innocence, whatever you want to call it, we go and mess things up. So the only antidote to all of this is, one word please, the only antidote is
Knowledge.
very
Morning
good.
studies.
Very good. You guys are doing great. Okay, so everybody's following the line of thought. I have to up the ante a bit. Is everyone clear? Anyone has a question so far? You're all following the line of thought. I have to make the class more difficult now, because I've been dumbing it down a bit.
Janki ji,
Yeah,
Akhila here. Can I ask a question?
yeah, go ahead, Akhila.
You said that ignorance leads to agitation.
Mhm.
So ignorance here would mean not knowing the consequence of the action. Is that what leads to the agitation? or ignorance of what constitutes the ignorance?
The ultimate ignorance is ignorance of the self. But that ignorance of the self manifests in many things. It manifests in the thought that if I get this thing, I'm going to be happy. Now, this kind of base thought can lead to any type of agitation. There's endless amounts of agitation that can be generated out of it. Agitation number one is you don't get that thing. That's what he's saying. Consumes his soul with vain desires. You eat your heart out because you're not getting something. This is the most tragic form of agitation, because even if you had got that thing, you would not have been happy. Now you made yourself miserable not getting this thing. But it would have been of no significance even had you got it. It's so difficult to swallow that thought, but try and put it in a sort of, put it in an experience that you yourself have had. Can you imagine yourself 10 years old? Okay. And when you're 10 years old, you took part in a singing competition. And you came last. And you were miserable that you came last. Okay? You could have come first. You cried, let us say, for 1 week because you came last in that singing competition. You did that. Now, as an adult, do you think it was worth it? Crying for 1 week because you lost that singing competition at the age of 10. Had you won that, what would have been its effect in your life? Would be anything. In your building, some competition took place. You won, you lost, it makes no difference. If anything at all would have impacted your life with reference to that singing competition, is what?
The practice that you put in.
Very good. It's the practice you put, isn't it? Because what will make a difference in your life eventually is not whether you won or lost that singing competition, but what practice were you doing before, during, and after. Is that clear, Akshala? So first point is, even by you consume your soul in vain desires, means you may not get it. Even if you get it, you won't be happy. How do you know that? Because you get a spurt in pleasure. Then what happens? You have only two options. Either you'll lose it, in which case you'll become unhappy, or you'll get bored with it, in which case you're again unhappy. Which is what happens, right, all the time. Suppose you buy a car for yourself. What will happen? You go and you want the money to buy a car, so either you have it or you don't. If you have the money, you buy the car, and then you feel very happy. Then what happens after some time? Something happens to the car, then you're very upset. Nothing happens to the car. It runs beautifully all along. Then what happens? You just want
another car.
Just want another
Just
one?
another car.
No, you want another car. No? So where are you headed with this thing? It doesn't matter, all these things. So is that clear?
Yes, Janki.
Okay.
Yes,
So
it's clear.
the ignorance is ignorance of the self, which manifests as all these agitations and all the ignorance that comes subsequently. Okay. So up to here, everyone's clear? To joys forbidden, man aspires, consumes his soul with vain desire. Folly the spring of his pursuit, and disappointment all the fruit. Folly the spring of his pursuit. Where does the pursuit begin? In folly, in foolishness, in misunderstanding, in ignorance. And what is its fruit? Disappointment all the fruit. Then he gives two examples. While Cynthia ogles as she passes, the nymph between two chariot glasses, she's the pineapple and he the silly unsuccessful bee. So here's a boy, he's walking on the road. A chariot passes him. Okay, you know a chariot, right? As those two windows. So through that window of the chariot, through the glass, he sees a beautiful woman inside. Beautiful girl. And he's like, wow, this is the girl of my dreams. The poet says, that girl is the pineapple, and the stupid man on the road dreaming all about that girl, he is the silly bee, the silly, unsuccessful bee. The maid who views with pensive air the show glass fraught with glittering ware, sees watches, bracelets, rings, and lockets, but sighs at thought of empty pockets. Like dying, her appetite is keen, but the cruel glass between. So he gives another example of the same thing. What's the second example? Here's a girl. She's gone window shopping. When you go window shopping, what is between you and the object? Is that show glass, right? So she's looking at all the jewelry, all the trinkets, all the beautiful things over there. But sighs at the thought of empty pockets, but she cannot afford that. Like thine, her appetite is keen, the desire is strong, but the cruel glass between. This is the example of a transferred epithet. The glass is not cruel, but the cruel glass in between. So there's always something stopping us, as it were, from all these things that seem so attractive towards us. To us, it seems like there is some barrier between us and what we want. Oh, like I feel I don't want to I have to get up early and go to office. I have something, I want to sleep, but I have to get up. I want to sleep, but I have to get up and study. Whatever. I want to eat, but I have to watch my weight. There's always a cruel glass in between. So, now you have enough enumeration of the problem. Problem is clear to everybody. Anyone to whom the problem is not clear. Because we are Shilpa. You can't apply causal relationship when the experience is not repeated. Is this the first principle? Shilpa, where are you? What is there in a different class?
Yes, no, Janki ji, in this class only you had told last time. I had put the question first only, but you missed it. So I said after the poetry gets over, I will put it again.
Oh, is it? I didn't see it. I always check.
It was. Yes, it's okay. But after the poetry, I thought I'll put it again.
Oh, okay. I didn't get it earlier.
Okay. Sorry.
You can't apply causal relationship when the experience is not repeated. You can't apply causal relationship when the experience is not repeated. Okay, I think what you mean is that everybody finds fire hot. You're referring to that, so therefore the joy is in the fire. I mean, the heat is in the fire, or sugar, everybody finds sweet. So if it is not so to everybody, therefore there is no causal relationship. Is this a first principle? It is a first principle that if something exists in something, then it should be available to everybody to experience that thing. That way it is a first principle, yes. But your enumeration of that isn't, when you write these things down, that's why writing is always a headache, is you have to write it in a certain way that that says it clearly, doesn't lend itself to any other interpretation and cannot equally be applied to something else. So if you really put it down as a first principle, you have to apply yourself to get it in that thing. Then you can say so. Easier is always to pick up a line and from a text and say, is this the first principle? That way. Otherwise, you apply yourself to whether this is correct or not. Okay, so coming back, if you feel I haven't answered your question, you're probably right. That cannot say that this is a first principle because its enumeration may not be perfect. So please find the line in the text itself and then you get the thing. I'm not going through it because it'll take me time to apply myself to that line to make sure it fits all the requirements of a definition.
Okay. Thank you, Janki.
So is the problem here clear to everybody? The problem is we are attracted to something, there is something stopping us from getting it, and we've made ourselves miserable because of it. Problem clear to everybody? Okay, so now let's see if he gives us any solution. After telling us so many problems in this world, is there a solution or not? Our dear delights are often such, exposed to view, but not to touch. The sight our foolish heart inflames, we long for pineapples and frames. Our dear delights, things that we long for so much, are often such. They're often of this nature, that they're exposed to view, but not to touch. We can see them, but we cannot get them. The sight our foolish heart inflames, it puts our heart on fire for that thing, whatever it is. We long for pineapples and frames. We long for things that cannot be got. So when we long like this, we have one of two things available to us to do. What can we do? Number one, with hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. Some people are hopeless about it. They feel, I want it, but I can't get it. And they consume their soul. They become agitated, frustrated, miserable, unhappy, because they know they cannot get that thing, whatever it is they want. With hopeless wish, one looks and lingers. They don't take any action. They can't. This represents tamas. One breaks the glass and cuts his fingers. Another kind of person says, who says I can't? And they break the glass. And the consequence of breaking the glass is you cut your fingers. That means you face the consequences of doing something you ought not to have done in the first place. So it seems like we have only one of two choices. Either we can stop ourselves from doing it because it's forbidden, or we say, who says it's forbidden, and go all out and do it. If you do the first, you become frustrated. If you do the second, you meet the consequences. So it seems almost like there's no hope for us. What are we supposed to do? But there is hope. But they who truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed. You have to know these lines by heart. This whole paragraph you should know by heart. So there is a third alternative. The third alternative is the alternative of sattva. Live a life of truth and wisdom. Live the noble life. Then what will happen? Whatever situation you are met with in life, whatever comes your way, it will become prasad of the Lord. Prasad means it's always sweet, right? Whatever you meet will be sweet to you. That is the way to live life. That is what religion is supposed to teach us. Whatever comes my way is the prasad of the Lord. And I am happy and blessed to have it. Not because you say it with your lips, but that is your experience. But when will that become? Many people say it with their lips, but it doesn't really work like that. It's actually frustrating them in their heart. Why is that happening?
They haven't actually understood it.
Okay, what else?
They're not actually living it.
Living what? It is, you're all using the word it, so I want them to know what is that word it?
Consequences of their earlier actions. No.
They can find bliss in the worst environment.
Yes, but I'm saying
Knowledge.
that, please listen to the question carefully. Whatever comes our way, we do accept as the gift of the Lord, as prasad. Any weed you will find honey in. Because normally you don't find honey in weeds, right? So any weed you'll find money. Whatever horrible situation, you will be happy and blessed and contented. Because for you, it's prasad is a lot. Now my question is this, that people do speak like that. Oh yes, we are very blessed and this and that, but they're frustrated. They say, yes, jo bhi milega, wo Bhagwan ki, it is his prasad, all that on by the lips we say. But they don't actually experience that life. They don't experience that inner joy of that life. Question is, why not?
Because truth and wisdom are not leading their life.
Because where is that ideal for which they are working? Where is that ideal? What is the higher vision that they have in their life? Unless you have that, unless you're living that life, until you're living that life of nobility, how can its consequences come to us? Just by saying, yes, it's very nice to live a noble life, the consequences won't come, right? What are we doing? What is that vision that is motivating our life? What am I even trying to do with my life? Have I found out what for me appears to be the purpose of my existence? Have I found that out for myself? I don't have to justify this to anybody. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. But do I know? If I know and I'm working towards it, the gods cannot keep me from happiness. How can they? That's what he said. But they who truth and wisdom lead, you led that life. Means you had a clear understanding of your noble path and you followed that path. But they who truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a wheat. It's not mental entertainment. Oh, so nice. We go and sing bhajans today. Not mental entertainment, but a genuine dedication to a higher vision. So each one has to know for themselves, what is my path of truth and wisdom? What is it? And what am I doing to be on that path? And how is that thing covering my whole life? I have to know this. If I don't know this, I won't even know all the distractions that are taking me all over the place. Because the mind slips very easily. We can move from our path before you know what happened. So we want, if the goal is not clear, you won't even know that you have moved away. Because the goal was not. So I hope this is clear, that we aspire to things that we should not aspire to. We believe that there are some external restrictions that are keeping us from those things. Some of us become frustrated in that. And some of us say, I don't care what you out guys say, I'm going to go for it. We go for it and suffer the consequences. But the real way to live life is to live with a higher vision, a higher ideal, a life of truth and wisdom, as he calls it. And then you find everything is happy. You don't need to get something to be happy because you already are happy. You are not only happy, you're successful, you're productive, you're of benefit to others, you cause happiness to others, and departing, leave behind footprints on the sands of time. You don't believe me? Check anyone who did this.
All sounding so good, Janki ji, and inspiring.
Okay, get down to action.
So difficult, Janki.
Not at all. You girls are all doing it. Keep on the path. Both of you are doing hard work. Keep on the path. Just keep to it. But be clear. Don't take up all the hard work. Both Deepa and Meera are doing hard work for Vedanta. But it should not be a part-time pastime. It should be dedicated to whatever cause you have set for yourself. If Vedanta is your cause, then it's the dedication at the end of the day that counts. I don't know, have I made it sound difficult? Let me assure you, this is all very easy stuff. If I'm making it sound difficult, then I'm doing something wrong here. So it's not difficult at all. There is nothing difficult in being comfortable, in being happy, in living nicely in your life. And every step we take on our path will only make us more of that. But you got to do it. You say, no, I can't get up in the morning. I can't study. I can't this. I can't that. At least you shouldn't complain because you chose to stay there.
Janki
Yeah,
so kinds of agitations here. One is when you fool yourself into believing that all is good and it's all Lord's prasad. And the other is the stretch that you make on the path, which is bound to make you a bit agitated. So how do you differentiate between the two agitations?
Bharat, same question, same answer. Exactly what you do when you lift weights. You know the difference between pain and effort, right? If your effort is such that you're hurting, Bharat is, you all know by now, I assume, that he's a strong man. Anybody acts funny with us, we just send him to Bharat. Because he is like our Muhammad Ali. So he lifts weights, some horrible weights he lifts every day. We won't even ask him what he lifts up. He lifts them. Now, how does he know whether he is building his muscles or wrecking his muscles? That's what you have to know, even in the spiritual path. Whatever you're doing, are you putting in sufficient effort for growth, or are you putting in too much effort that will throw you back? Because if you do, rip a muscle or something, you can't exercise after that. So you must know for yourself, okay, this much is good and no more. Because when you're serving, it is your initiative. Nobody has asked you to serve. The world does not require us. Vedanta does not require us. Vedanta has survived for the last 10,000 years without you and I being there. And nobody's asking us to do anything. But it is our own initiative. So we take up what we can do with effort, but not with pain. So how do you know, Bharat? By your own experience of what is going on. If your agitation is so much that you're actually hurting your mind, you say, why on earth would your mind be hurt so much with doing something so nice and so noble and so pure? It feels nice, right? But not feel so nice that you're putting in no effort, just enjoying life. So it has to be that stretch. You must feel a little overworked, but not so overworked that you are like collapsing. A little overworked, which I know, Bharat, you are feeling, just as all of us feel, slightly more work than we would be comfortable. Or whatever you're doing, even if you're saying, I want to not lose my temper, or whatever it is you want to do, enough that it's an effort, but not so much effort that it's a pain. Is that okay, Bharat?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we will continue next time. There is question answer tomorrow evening because a lot of people felt that there's just so much stuff going on everywhere. And so we don't know how to help, how to serve, what should we do. So Bharat came up with the idea that why don't we do a Q&A if people have any questions, which may not be just philosophy, but even about life itself. So we can deal with those questions. So that's what we're doing tomorrow from 7 to 8. If you have any questions, please send them to Bharat. You all have the number, of course. So please do send them. And let's consider if there's anything we can do additionally. I mean, in the sense, just give you some thoughts on how to handle if you're going through any kind of difficulty at the moment. Even if you want and you'd like to attend, of course, everybody is most welcome to attend, but it's an open thing, so it's not like very, very deeply personal, but just ideas on how we can maybe What is a nice name they have given? Peace in the pandemic. How to continue to be peaceful when we are experiencing some troubles. Okay, so that's it. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Janki ji.
Hari Om
Om
Janki ji. Thank you.
Thank you so
Janki
much.
ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om.